So recently, the first group of students went through my 10 Steps to Reharm video course, and I wanted to share with you a couple of excerpts from the live streams that were part of that video course. So in this particular live stream, I was talking about secondary chords and how to use them. So secondary chords are chords that you can use to get to other chords. In the video, I'll be talking about secondary dominant chords, so just a dominant 7th chord resolving to its tonic, a 2-5-1, which you might be familiar with, and tritone substitute dominant chords. Now in this video, I'm not really going into like how exactly they're constructed, because that's kind of something we're discussing in the course itself, but you can see how I apply them in real time to a song. I'm just sort of experimenting here, so I hadn't really prepared exactly what I was going to play there, so you can kind of see how I reharmonize these kind of songs. I hope you find this useful, and if you would like to join the next group of students that's going to go through this course and also join these live streams where you can ask questions, just put in the comments, join the waitlist, and I'll make sure to send a link to you where you can join the waitlist. It's a 10-week program, and we're going through all the 10 steps that I use to reharmonize any song. I think you'll enjoy it. Hope to see you in the comments. Let's go through these different kind of secondary chords. The most basic one is just the 5 to the 1. So let's see if we can do something like that. This is the intro. So let's start with that pickup. So the most basic version would be a dominant chord 5, right? It's a bit boring, right? We just had an E chord, so that 5 chord doesn't really change anything. So maybe let's leave that one for now. Let's see about the next anchor chord. So F sharp minor. So you take the 5 chord, make that a dominant. So let's see what happens if we add in a C sharp dominant 7 chord. That's nice. Now you see that D major chord already has a dominant before it, right? It's already a secondary dominant 5 chord. We can't really replace an A7 with an A7, so we can do a 2-5. The exercise that my teacher gave me when I was a teenager was to just practice all the basic 2-5s in all keys. Right, and he would call out 2-5 in E major, right? And I had to, like, as quickly as possible grab those 2-5s. It's a great exercise. I would highly recommend you practice this one. So, for example, that first chord, A major, right? Like, we didn't really like this. It sounded too bland, right, to go. So let's make it a 2-5 and see what happens. So a 2-5 in A major would be D minor, E dominant 7, A major. So I made this a major 7 chord, kind of, I talk about that in the first chapter. Sometimes you can just add a little color by changing a triad to a major 7 chord. What about the next one? So 2-5 to F sharp minor. So now that's a minor chord. We could use a minor 2-5, right? That would be G sharp half diminished, C sharp 7, F sharp minor. See if that works. Sounds pretty nice. Let's see what happens if we use a major 2-5, so like a G sharp minor 7, not with the flat 5, but like with that. Might sound a little funky, but could work too. I like that. So let's add that in real quick. So we had the 5, then we had the 2-5, and then let's see if we can do a tritone subchord. One approach to do it is you say we're going to A, so we're just going to take a half step above A, and then we create a dominant chord on that. That will be a B flat dominant 7 chord, right? So let's replace the one right before it here, B flat 7. See what that sounds like. It's kind of nice. B flat dominant 7 with a sharp 5 here. bit funky. Or let me try this nice. That could be nice. All right, so let's see, what about the next one? So a C sharp dominant 7 chord. Again, same thing. Either we take that chord and take a tritone away, and it becomes a G dominant 7 chord, right? Which is a half step above the chord we're going to, F sharp minor. So let's see what that sounds like. It would be a sharp 11 chord because it has that C sharp in it. It technically works. I don't like it as much as the original we had, the C sharp dominant 7. I think that sounds somehow more fun. I don't know why. It's kind of a big thing of reharmonization, right? It's using your ears, and sometimes it might theoretically work, but it doesn't sound that good, and you always just want to go by ear. Okay, now we can actually talk about maybe adding something to that D major chord, right? Because the A7 already wants to go there. But what's the tritone substitute chord of A dominant 7? It's an E flat, right? An E flat dominant 7 chord wants to go to D major. So let's see what happens if we add that in. That's kind of, I like that. I like it. I think these are the most important sections, right? It's the dominant, it's the 2/5, it's a tritone subchord, and you get really far with just those. One thing that we didn't talk about, stringing these dominant 7 chords together. Well, let's say that C sharp dominant 7, right? If we do a half step above that, would be a D dominant 7 that would want to go to C sharp. I don't know if that works. Yeah, that could work, right? If we made this a D7 chord, and then you can say, well, what happens if we add a dominant 7 chord before that wants to go there? So another half step above that. So let's say E flat 7. Right? You can get pretty crazy with that. It's a lot to throw that in there, right? Especially at the beginning of an arrangement. I think it's nice to let a melody breathe and speak for itself, especially the first time it comes around. And then maybe on the repeat of the melody, you can do a reharmonization. I do this in my band a lot, where we might start the song like usual, and then on the second verse or in the second chorus, suddenly there's a reharmonization, and it becomes really impactful because you only use it once the rest of the song is established, and it has a far greater impact.